The great forests, spectacular landscapes where some of nature's most dramatic transformations play out. Throughout the year, the challenges for its inhabitants change, from the rich pickings of summer to the bleakest of winters. For all manner of creatures, it's worth the fight to lay claim to their patch of territory and to share in the natural riches of the forest. It's only really from the air that it's possible to appreciate the scale of our global forest. Trees cover 4 billion hectares of our planet. "31% of the land is blanketed in woods that help purify our air and create oxygen. Much of the northern hemisphere is wrapped in its life-giving embrace. From east to west, it provides food and shelter for creatures of every conceivable form. But for all its protective properties, it can be a testing place to live, especially now, in the heart of winter. Wolves always have company. With strong bonds, they have the solidarity of the pack to get them through winter. But even so, with the landscape buried beneath the snow, it can be hard to find food. It can smell the sable. But the wily weasel has plenty of bolt holes to stay out of harm's way. The exquisite beauty of the snow may be a treat for the eyes, but it makes living very tough for the forest's inhabitants. Moose are hardy northern specialists, expert in nibbling whatever they can find. At this time of year, it's little more than twigs. Though they hang out together in winter, the animals can be on edge. Food resources are running low, and it doesn't take much for tempers to flare. Both males and females fight. But at this time of year, the bulls have lost their distinctive antlers. All arguments now are settled with boxing. The hooves are more than just weapons, though. They are also valuable snow shovels, used to uncover buried vegetation. Their squabbles attract a bear, a rare sight in winter. Normally, he'd be tucked up in a den to sleep through the long, cold months. But from time to time, bears arise and look for a snack. It's late winter and the snow is soft. Hard going for the short-legged bear. He doesn't stand any chance of catching up to a moose. Their long legs keep their bodies above the snow, and they walk in each other's tracks to save energy. Perhaps the bear will stumble slowly back to bed. On the other side of the world, the snow causes problems for a very different forest dweller. The Japanese macaques work quickly to dig the snow, trying to find leaves that have been preserved beneath. Apart from humans, no other primates live so far north or in such cold conditions. Being out in the blizzard can get a bit much. Luckily for this troop, there is a break from the cold. The perfect respite, a dip in the local hot spring. Volcanic activity underground means even on the coldest days, there is a warm bath waiting for them. After a day at the spa, they are ready once again to tackle the cold. Winter is tough on everything that has to face it. But there are a few animals that opt out. Dormice and many other small creatures hibernate through winter, entering a state of torpor when the functions of their body grind almost to a halt. Large animals like badgers have their own version, just slowing their metabolisms down and resting to save energy and stay in out of the cold. While some forests remain green and lush, others are stark and bare during winter. Deciduous trees shed their leaves, leaving skeletons of their former glory. It doesn't leave much food or shelter, but that doesn't mean the forest isn't alive with the hardy and adaptable. A lucky find, fallen seeds, can cause conflict. But distracted by the chance to feed, the birds face a far bigger threat. It just takes one alert bird, and the cat goes hungry. Sometimes the predator is unlucky. Other times, it's the prey that loses out. Winter's long and hard, but gradually the sun's rays are getting stronger. There are sounds and sights in the forest that suggest change is in the air. The migratory crane pair has returned to their forest nesting ground. To remind themselves just what a good couple they make, they mimic one another's movements, demonstrating perfect harmony. They are not the only pair to return. The riches of the forest call back those residents too fragile to have stayed over winter. With their bond reconfirmed and their patch secured, it's time for some family planning. Spring is on its way. The white of winter slowly ebbs away, revealing a surprise. Far from destroying the forest, the snow has been protecting it. Creating a barrier against the frost, a warm blanket under which plants have got a head start on their season's growth. The spring snowflakes first, replacing one white carpet with another. The melting snow waters the plants, the final ingredient they needed to announce the spring. Patiently, the forests have lain dormant through winter, but the wait is finally over. Now that the air has warmed, water can fall as rain instead of snow. Water and sun, a magic formula that can cause an explosion of life. In anticipation of spring's riches, new faces appear in the forest. The skirt of a tree provides a ready-made nursery for this litter. Wild boars deliver around a dozen stripy piglets. Now a week old, the youngsters are ready to fly the nest. And seem to have a lot of pent-up energy. From the word go, there is a piglet pecking order. The bossiest piglets will get the best opportunities to feed and will grow faster than their siblings. There will be milk on tap for around their first 3 months of life. After that, not only will they have to feed themselves, but they will grow out of their racing stripes. The forests that were silent for so long now ring with birdsong, as each of these featherweights lay claim to a small home where they can raise their young. Babies come in all sizes, and the moose is one of the biggest. It takes a matter of minutes for the gangly infant to get balanced on its stilts. But it'll need the height advantage when it reaches for milk from its massive mother. Despite being the biggest predator of the forest, the brown bear has among the smallest babies. Her cubs were born during her winter sleep. They arrived half the size of a bag of sugar, and for their first few months stay hidden in dens with their sleeping mothers. They share a close bond with their mum and will spend several years by her side. With such a big, powerful mother, they can afford to kick back and play. Within weeks of spring thaw, every puddle or tree trunk seems to be occupied, and the woods put on their most elaborate display. The colors of spring are a call to action for a fleet of pollinators. The plants use bright colors and sweet nectars to lure the bugs. A sugary treat awaits them, as long as they transfer pollen in return for the favor. While some seem to show off their existence, others are hardly noticeable. The roots of an old oak tree provide the perfect safe house where a mother fox delivered her pups. born blind, deaf and toothless, the hamster-sized youngsters are totally dependent on their mother. And for their first few weeks of life, she'll barely leave their side. The den she made will be their home for the next few months. The oak leaves above are the perfect hunting ground for a pair of coltids, who transport juicy caterpillars back to their nest. Like all songbirds, they keep a low profile, trying not to reveal the location of their nest. But they are being watched. When a hungry chick can eat as many as 100 caterpillars a day, it's hard for the parents to go unseen. Under the cover of darkness, they pay the price. But one family's loss is another's gain. There's light in the darkness. Mixing chemicals in her body, the female glowworm shines a beacon to draw in a potential mate. While the forest seems to find its stride, draped in lush greenery, the vixen finds herself with her hands full. Her pups are growing quickly and need constant attention. It takes a lot of milk, but eventually it calms the family down. White storks have high-rise accommodation. Today they mostly nest on roofs and other man-made structures, but their roots lie in the woods. Trees were their preferred locations. Of course, that means building materials need to be transported in. Luckily, timber for home building is never in short supply in the forest. There is quite an art to getting the feng shui right, and this builder's a perfectionist. Woodland browsers, like red deer, nibble at young trees and so control their growth. Thanks to them, clearings are maintained in the forest, which are not only rich in grass, but provide open, sunny playgrounds for the calves. Deer might be the biggest browsers, but they are not the most numerous. Millions of mini beasts munch their ways through the forest. Combined, they outweigh all of the big mammals. And they in turn feed mini predators, although they are not always easy to catch. Forest pools provide a moat surrounding the crane's fortress. The island nest is the best way to keep their eggs away from foxes and other nest raiders. The eggs are not impervious to attack from above, and the great grey owls keep a close eye on the goings-on. But there is drama enough in their nest, a tragedy unfolding. The owls lay multiple eggs, but rarely raise them all. The first chick to hatch will be the biggest, and will be the parents' priority when they deliver food. In this rare incident, the run to the litters got lucky, but its success is short-lived. Bullied out of food, the little one's unlikely to survive. The cranes, on the other hand, are attentive parents, teaching their chick what to eat and never letting it out of their sight. The owlet soon outcompetes its siblings, and now, without competition, he has a good chance of making it to adulthood. At a month old, the fox cubs are stronger and more curious about their surroundings. Time to start exploring. Their baby blue eyes are darkening and will soon turn brown. But right now, they are filled with the wonders of the forest. He spots one of the shyest inhabitants, the black stork. Some of his neighbors are quite intimidating. Forest pools and streams provide the perfect fishing ground for the black stork pair. Less social than the white storks, they build secluded nests hidden deep in the trees. Black stork chicks start out white. It will take several months for the insulating down to be replaced by adult plumage. Throughout the breeding season, the parents continue to reaffirm their commitment to each other with some ritualized bill clapping. From their lofty perch, they can watch the forest unpack its summer riches. The plants grow, and so too do the animals they shelter. The deer fawns are starting to enjoy solid food. Lynx kittens are growing fast. They are still dependent on their mother's milk, but with a growing sense of independence. Sometimes Mum needs to intervene to keep her brood together. It'll take 6 months for her to raise these kittens, turning them into top hunters. For the wildcat, even a lazy summer's day can't distract it from the chance to hunt. The trees are alive with animals hard at work to feed their young. But it doesn't make it any easier for the cat to catch them. At 2 months old, the badger family is out enjoying a long, warm summer evening. The leaf litter offers rich pickings, insects, bulbs, and nuts. Though it's interrupted by play, even the grown-ups join in. But the family's shy about being out in the daylight and easily spooked. Fixed addresses offer a safe playground where young animals can learn the ropes, figuring out what to hunt and how to interact with each other. The fox cubs are also out exploring. Already, hunting instinct comes naturally, and when he spots the movements of a squirrel, it's a target that's too tempting to resist. But he's going to have to improve his game. Better practice on his siblings. There are many dangers in the world. But at the moment, even the wolves are more focused on quality family time. Despite being top predators, wolves are shy and secretive, and never more so than around their den, a secluded forest clearing. Though it's hard to keep a low profile with ravens constantly shouting about your presence. The intelligent birds often follow wolves around, knowing that scraps of meat will be left after the wolf pack's meals. The parents are the alpha pair, the leaders of the pack, and will stay together for life. The youngsters will likely stay with mum and dad for a number of years before branching out in search of a mate and a home range for themselves. All through the forest, youngsters are growing up. On their high-rise, the stork chicks are now as big as their parents. They have just discovered their wings. It takes a while to master the 2-meter span. They begin with short trial flights. The storks will not stick around for a northern winter. As soon as the flock's strong enough, they will head south to seek some African sun. They know that the riches of summer won't last. The storms of late summer give the forest one last watering. It's good for the landscape, but tough on its inhabitants. Once he's dried off a bit, a tree trunk helps the bear to primp its fur. The soundtrack of the forest is changing. The temperature's dropping, but hormone levels are on the up. And it's not just the animals. The trees themselves are undergoing changes. The oak casts out its acorns, baby bundles that contain all the materials and nutrients needed to start a new tree. Millions rain down, but most won't have the chance to grow. For squirrels, boars and many other species, the manna from above couldn't have come at a better time. A feast that will fatten them up for the lean months that lie ahead. Deer don't have time to worry about acorns. This is the rut. The fallow bucks strut their stuff, bellowing, challenging others to question their superiority. Anyone who does want to test their title will have to fight. Productivity in the forest is shutting down. It's a time of death and decay, but also when the landscape takes on its most magnificent hues. All over the northern hemisphere, the deciduous trees are shedding their leaves. They will no longer turn sunlight into food, but instead they will decompose, creating rich soil and ultimately returning the nutrients to the tree. For forest wildlife, it's a colorful wake-up call. The easy living is over. Life's going to get a lot tougher, and all creatures get to work eating as much as they can while they still can. For bears, like the Asiatic black bear, a countdown begins. He'll sleep through winter, but will only survive if he manages to get enough reserves of body fat. But he's still young and would rather play with his brother. Before long, the siblings will go their separate ways and lead solitary adult lives. The cold air seems to get moose hot. The bull cautiously approaches a cow and calf. Female moose will only let him near when they are ready. The calf is old enough to go it alone now. So if he plays his cards right, the bull's in with a chance. He's watched from the wings by a young hopeful. But until his antlers have grown a bit, it would be futile for him to risk a challenge. Full-on moose fights are rare, but things do occasionally go wrong, which can provide a much-needed feast for the bear family. A rich supper before bed. The first snowflakes will encourage the bears to seek shelter and hunker down. Not all animals will have that luxury. For creatures great and small, a struggle's underway. Even the biggest animals, like the European bison, seek shelter in the trees. But it's not just the cold they need to worry about. The wolves are now old enough to travel with the pack. But the bison's not going to stand for any nonsense today. The snow wraps the woods in an eerie silence. Many creatures have left or retreated to their burrows, but for the hardy who remain, it's back to nibbling on twigs and shoveling snow. It'll be a long, tough winter, a challenge to endure. But it will be worth the fight when spring once again reveals the riches of the forest.